What's up, everybody? Thralls here once again. I'm Necrotic Nick.
I'm Jammin John.
And we have an album review for you, or rather an EP review. This week being a little bit slower, we decided to kind of look around, see what else there was out there, just in terms of more underground releases, and we came across one that we figured, hey, why not? So today we are going to go over the latest EP from Putridity, Gory Gluttony EP. This comes out on the 7th of July on Willowtip Records. This band formed in 2005 in Italy. It was initially a one-man project with their main guy who was still there, Putrid Cecchio. I think that's how you say the last part. I'm reasonably sure I said the first part right, because that's English.
Where's Shred? Shred's Italian.
Now, this is their first EP overall. They do have 3 full lengths, and this is straight up Italian brutal death metal. That country is definitely known for it. And yeah, it's gross, it's blasty, it's very technical. It's pretty much entrails and pasta and marinara all whipped together for hopefully no one to eat. And this is definitely a short feast, more of a snack, really. How long was it?
12 minutes and 39 seconds. That's definitely like a 1.5 course meal.
Yeah, maybe an appetizer for us, because we definitely represent the gluttonous side.
Well, yes, us as Americans are very gluttonous people. I personally am in my 143rd trimester. Yeah, lots of appetizers in this bad boy.
But yeah, we kind of went into this one blind. I had heard of this band just because Italian brutal death metal is kind of its own thing. I mean, bands like Vomit the Soul and Deep Angelic, kind of like some of the forerunners of that. But this also blends in a lot of stuff from, a variety of different acts. I would say Gorgasm, Wormed, kind of in there too. Yeah. It's very technical, very spazzy. A little bit of Disgorge, the U.S. Disgorge, and I would say a little bit of Defeated Sanity, because wow, this is very spazzy. In fact, it's really hard to get a hold of.
I'm just gonna come out and say it. It transitions quicker than a crackhead chasing a dollar.
Yeah, I know. I've almost hit one in the fucking road going after a dollar. It was a windy day, but luckily I didn't hit him. Yeah, this is very spazzy, very nutty, very muddy too. The production here definitely kind of sounds more like a demo, honestly.
Yeah, super, super muddy guitars. To be honest with you, making out individual riffs is fairly difficult.
Yeah, unless they are chugging or squealing, or the riff is isolated when the drums aren't going a million miles an hour, because, this guy's doing blast beats almost the entire time, crazy turnovers, definitely a lot of, cryptopsy worship,
yeah.
Yeah, I get it, that's definitely a solid fucking role model there, but you occasionally get little spots where they kind of drop out for a little bit. You can actually hear, the riffs a little bit better, because between the frequent blasts, the very clicky bass drum, and the guttural vocals, the guitars kind of get lost in the mix a little bit, especially when they're doing more tremolo riffs, which it's hard to follow them anyway, because again, they are transitioning so damn quick.
Really, to be honest, I couldn't really hear much of anything until you get to the song Fermented Entrails, where all the chugs and the riffs and whatever have a little bit more, I don't know if it's mixed different or whatever, but it's they have a little bit more substance to them, and you can break down the actual slam moments.
Yeah, there's a few more spots of groove in there that actually hang on for more than a measure or a half measure, and there's some decent kind of slam riffs on there, and on here, again, with these super fast transitions, there's a lot of moments where you feel like you're kind of building up into a slam breakdown or something like that, and then it kind of just spazzes out. Again, a lot of stuff that's very similar to Defeated Sanity and Wormed, just in terms of that hyper fast, just nutty, brutal death metal. I wouldn't call it super technical, because it's a lot of just heavy, chuggy riffing, and there's really no lead work on there, but it is played very fast, very just, insanely, and it's definitely brutal.
Yeah, it's technical, I guess, from that standpoint. It's played very fast, and there's a lot of transitions, and the drum work is nuts. That, I suppose you could call technical, because of all that's happening at the speed it's happening at. That would be a thing.
Yeah.
But as far as your normal tropes of, say, technicality, where it's intricate riffs and, everything kind of makes sense, it's not that.
No, the riffs kind of run into one another, and they kind of play the same style. I do think the drum work is really solid, and I believe he is a session drummer. He actually has a one-man project called Anal Stab Wound. Yeah, it sounds super pleasant.
Mom, you're gonna love that one.
Yeah, maybe the band more than, the act. I mean, you get frequent hyper blasts on here, like sodomizing epileptic chunks, which I don't understand that song title. Like, how do you sodomize? Are there chunks of butthole? Because you kind of need butthole to sodomize, right? And is it twitching? Is it having a butthole seizure? I have questions, all right? They made the song title.
No, that's fine. Yeah, I'm not real sure either. There's a lot.
I'm going to give you Jammin John's address, and you can write him a letter explaining this whole act here. But I have questions about that song title in particular because, you know what? I don't want an illustration. I'm fine.
Yeah, I don't.
No, send him the illustration. He'll love it.
No, actually don't. When Necrotic Nick sends you my address, send me your request for the address, and then I'm going to in turn give you his address. And possibly Shredlord's address. I think Shred could... Send your questions to Shredlord.
Actually, you know what? He's probably the one to talk to.
I'm pretty sure he would know.
Like, if it involves sodomy, he's fucking on it.
Buttholes.
Or in it, rather. But anyway, back to what I was saying. Again, this cool hyper blast in there, and I think the drum performance is, like, very energetic and just constantly going, much like the riffs. But again, nothing hangs out long enough to really sink in. And again, I listen to a fair amount of brutal death metal, but I'm very picky about it. In fact, we were talking about like all the different subsets of death metal, and brutal death is kind of the one that I'm the most picky about, because when it comes down to like stuff that is just brutal for the sake of brutal, or being like overtly technical for the sake of being overtly technical, it's kind of hard to get into.
There was a time in my life pretty early on from my transition out of, say, deathcore into death metal. There was a brief moment in time where I was into bands that were heavy simply for the sake of being heavy. I was like, oh, that's fucking sick. Well, that's fucking heavy. Yeah, that's pretty cool. They're just heavy. But as I branched out as not only a musician but a music listener, I found that they also had to have more substance. Now, I will say a sparkling gem on this record is a song that's not their own. Ecstasy and Decay, a Cannibal Corpse cover. It's still muddy, but you can definitely tell what's happening. It's kind of hard to fuck this up.
Yeah, and honestly, it showcases that, they can play solid riffs, stay in a groove for a while. Yep. Granted, it's because they kind of locked themselves in the cage of this song. Like, I'm pretty sure they could try to go around it, make it more overtly technical, but that kind of takes the whole appeal of Cannibal Corpse out of it. Like, yeah, it's technical in the riff work, but keeping the grooves and the hooks there and repeating riffs for, more than a measure or a half measure.
Yeah.
Cannibal Corpse is excellent at it, and they picked a banger of a song, and they really do nail the cover. Like, it sounds solid. It sounds like they legit love Cannibal Corpse. I just would wish some of that love of that sort of, more brutal, just straightforward death metal would actually come out, because, again, with some riffs on here, I probably wouldn't even focus on the production as much. It would be like, hey, no, these riffs are sick. There's some solid grooves on here. When it's stuff that's closer to bands like Broken Hope or, Dying Fetus or Suffocation, like, that's the style of brutality I generally lean towards. If a band on the more brutal side of death metal leans more towards those three in particular, there's a good chance I'm going to like it, because you still get furious riffs and it's still brutal as hell. You still get all the slams and everything, but the songs are a little bit more memorable. The fact that these songs are very short and condensed and just violent as hell, brutality is awesome, but I think that's like just kind of surface level. Like, that's square one. If you're in death metal and you sound brutal, you've achieved like that first fucking rung on the ladder. Like, all right, now let's make it sound interesting. And that was kind of my issue with this. Like, it's just kind of there. Like, it's fast. It just fucking blows up in your face and then leaves, and you're like, what happened?
Yeah. We listened to this twice. We listened to it once to review it, and then once all the way through without stopping to make comments in between, just to see if we could pull anything out. I mean, to be honest, for me too, because I don't want to necessarily shit on the fact that it has a bunch of crazy transitions and whatnot. My biggest gripe was, personally, I couldn't hear it. Like, I couldn't hear really any of the riffs. It was so muddy, and everything just kind of covered up everything else. There was nothing to latch onto simply because I couldn't hear it. I mean, I'm into lots of crazy fucking death metal. Hell, I listened to math metal for a lot of years, which you couldn't make sense of either. But, like, the fact that I couldn't hear it really kind of killed it for me, because they have obvious musical talent. It's there because of how well they did with the Cannibal Corpse cover. Like, not only did they play it, but they pretty much fucking nailed it.
Yeah.
It was still a little muddy, but it was there.
I think they have obvious talent in their own style as well. Like, it takes a lot of work to play that.
Of course.
But, you know, my issue is that, you know, in terms of like songwriting and stuff like that, like there's nothing to really draw me in other than the fact that it's super heavy.
Yeah.
Which, you know, that's cool, but you know, I need a little bit more than that, and just, you know, give me some riffs that repeat, like something that's gonna bring me back, like an anchor point. And I really couldn't find that here. Well, minus the Cannibal Corpse cover. I did find, however, a very questionable song title that I still don't fully understand, and I'm definitely going to forward that to Shred because it involves sodomy. So yeah, that's definitely his thing. That's why Sodom is one of his favorite German thrash metal bands. That, and they're really good, but I think it also has to do with buttholes. So yeah, overall, I'm gonna give this 2 stars. It's really not my thing. Just in terms of like the songwriting and, you know, just being go for the throat, brutal and technical at all times, you know, that kind of wears off after a while. That's not going to bring me back to the album as much as, say, like some really good riffs. Like, honestly, it needed some good slams on here. And when it teased them, it just fucked right off to the next section of the song, which was just a blitz of insane riffs once again that I couldn't really make out due to the pretty rough production on here. I'm going to reserve judgment on the rest of their catalog. I have not listened to them, and honestly, this may have been like the worst place to start, I guess. I do want to check out more by this band because I do like Italian brutal death metal. There's a lot of fucking awesome bands in that scene alone. But this was kind of a miss. But, you know, it may have just been something they wanted to do as a just short, violent offering. And, well, I mean, mission accomplished. But yeah, not really for me.
I'm going to give it 1.5 stars. I think without the Cannibal Corpse song, I don't know if I would have even given it 1.5, to be honest. And it's not that I'm not a fan of brutal death metal, because I actually like some brutal death metal, but much like Nick, I'm kind of picky, and I do need at least something to latch onto. And even so, if I can't latch onto it, I need to be able to hear it, and I just couldn't hear it. Like, the chugs are definitely there, the squealies, but it's so muddy that it's just not... To me, it was almost unlistenable. And I hate to say that, I really hate shitting on bands, but it just didn't really do it for me. I didn't have a lot to latch onto. I'm 100% certain that these guys are talented. And again, I haven't heard anything by these guys either. This is the first offering. They've been around since 2005. I would also like to dig into a little bit more of what they have and see if this was just a swing and a miss, or just something that they put out for the fuck of it just to be heavy. And while I like some bands that are heavy just to be heavy, this didn't meet the mark for me.
But yeah, that's just us. If you really dig batshit insane, brutal death metal, strongly recommend you check it out. Again, if you're a fan of Wormed, Defeated Sanity, Disgorge, US Disgorge, and I would even say Cryptopsy to a degree.
Yeah.
If you like any of those bands, pretty sure you'll probably dig some of this. So, if you enjoyed this review, give it a thumbs up, and if you are new to the channel, subscribe, because we do stuff like this all the time. We are also on Patreon. If you'd like to help us out there, there's a link down below to thrallsmetal.com. Our site is under construction right now, but when it does emerge, well, our Patreon link will be there. It's also on our channel someplace, but hopefully we will have some stuff in the store in terms of t-shirts. We have a design. We will definitely show it off in a video, and we will definitely do a giveaway for it, because our current giveaway is over because we hit the mark, 15,000 subscribers. Absolutely ridiculous. I'm going to do the comment randomizer, and that video announcement should be up next week sometime. And thank you so damn much for getting us this far, and I can't wait to give away a cool stack of CDs and some extra shit in there, because yeah, it's been absolutely amazing. Yep. Surreal, really. Yep.
I've been floored most of the day. You sent me that message at what, like noon today, and I said, holy shit.
It happened.
15,000, it really happened. Thank you to all of you. You guys have made this more than just a channel. It's become a gigantic part of both of our lives, the other Thrallers as well. You know, we're just happy to still be here and still be able to do this, and we've got tons of sweet stuff coming. I know he's got a gauntlet of things because that's what Necrotic Nick does. I have some cool things on the way. Miller and I have some cool things on the way. Shred and I are working on something. In fact, I just moved into Shred's house, so that should be entertaining. But yeah, 15,000 subs. Thank you, you guys. Thank you so much. We genuinely appreciate it.
So with that, I'm going to thank you one more time because y'all are fucking awesome, and we will catch you later.